Hello, this is Natasha Astara from Earth Mother Star Child. And that was someone buying something on eBay. And I thought I would come on today and talk about Ascension Symptoms. There's a lot of talk about this on the internet that's quite helpful. But if you're empathic and you're a starseed, indigo, earth angel, you really will be feeling some of these ascension symptoms. And if you're not, then you could be experiencing these, these symptoms and not really know why. So what is an ascension symptom? I think that's probably the best place to start here. So ascension is the process we are going through along with the earth, with Mother Gaia, who is ascending into the fifth dimension. And it is basically a process of undergoing a spiritual awakening that moves you into a higher level of consciousness. Now, this is not really a hierarchy, so you don't have to think of it as that. It's more that you are your light frequency, the vibration in your particles in your body is becoming faster and lighter. So you are moving from a less dense vibration into a lighter vibration, which is more in alignment with a dimensional shift into the fifth dimension. So there can be many, many symptoms that come up because as this lightness ascends into our frequency and it moves through our patterns and structures, and we begin to let go of what we no longer need. When we bring in light, it creates shadows, so it pushes out harder, denser vibrations from our bodies, and we begin to feel that in our muscles and our tissues and our mind and our energy system. So it is actually a very positive thing, but when you're going through it, it can feel very unpleasant. Some of the ascension symptoms that went on early this year, early 2018, were things like headaches, like very strong headaches, a lot of tension in the back muscles, and they seem to evolve. But what I've noticed is these collective symptoms often come all at once, depending on what the light frequencies coming in are and how they react, how you respond and how they react within your own energy system. So the ones that I have been experiencing the last month in November are quite unusual. So that's why I wanted to bring your awareness to them today, in case you have been experiencing them as well. So one of them has been, I've had a real problem struggling to breathe, feeling that my lungs are slightly oppressed or suppressed, and so I've had to work really hard at bringing breath deep into my lung space, particularly the bottom of my lungs. And when I've tuned into this, my guidance is telling me, well, it's not that there's anything wrong with my lungs, although I must say at this point, if you feel there is, please go and see a GP or a practitioner and get yourself checked out. There is no harm in getting yourself checked out if you need it, and just use your common sense and intuition. So I know that my guidance was telling me that it isn't actually my lungs, I can still breathe. It's more that the capacity in my lungs was increasing, and I was becoming more aware of the light frequencies coming in, and I wanted to expand my lung capacity to be able to breathe deeper, particularly into the lower parts of my lung. And in those parts there is a lot of stagnancy, a lot of old matrix programming, which tends to link into the lungs, which are around the heart space. So when we're cleansing, clearing the heart space into the fifth dimension, which is where we're going to be at if we want to work from that level and that dimensional consciousness, when we're doing that, then it can affect our physical bodies, because my lungs want to vibrate at a high frequency. So it's pushing out the energy, which can feel like phlegm. It can feel like a tightness in the muscles. We get a lot of tightness, like where the muscles have basically gone into spasm, or they're just tired. So that's one of the things I have worked hard with, just breathing more deeply, becoming more conscious of breathing more deeply into my center, into my deep, 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 all the way down to my sacral area. And that fits with the sacral area clearing that has been going on in November, that links to womb clearing and just bringing those lighter frequencies all the way down deeper into the body. Because at some point towards the end of this year and January, we're going to connect down into the root and have the full connection coming down through our bodies into the crystalline grid. So another thing that I experienced was struggling to focus or concentrate fully. So my mind has felt very unfocused, very flitty. And it's one of the reasons why I started doing the podcasts, because they're 15 minutes. I found that my attention span, which used to be very good, it used to be about 40 minutes to an hour, is now just reduced to about 5 to 10 minutes. And even in a single process of 5 minutes, I can find it's flitting all over the place. So I'm doing practices now just to focus in that energy, just to try and keep it on one point, because this is all about the mind programs. The dimensional shift is creating a space where we need to be more in the moment, in the heart, and this does affect the mind, because we don't want to be too much in the future or in the past. We want to be present in the moment, and for our mind to be focused completely on what is working through the energy system in this moment. So I have found that my mind has been flitting all over the place, and I thought at one point, this is what it must feel like to have ADHD. It must be these people who have very, very astute mind computers, but are working and processing information very quickly, might find it very difficult to hold a point of stillness. And it's been an interesting experience for me to have this, and I found that meditation is helpful, and also deep breathing and really allowing myself to focus and giving myself time and space to do that without getting annoyed and angry with myself. So another thing that has also been happening is I've had a feeling of jitteriness. So that's been jittery all through my nervous system. And this is interesting because I'm seeing this linking in on a lot of clients. So some people might class this as anxiety, and I thought maybe it was when it was beginning, but after it had been there for a while, and I'm quite used to dealing with my own anxiety, after it had been there a while, I realised that I was dealing with a much higher vibration energy that was coming through my energy system, and it was also coming through my nervous system and reconfiguring some aspects. I was experiencing some heat and discomfort around the neck and the shoulders, which is very common with Ascension symptoms, that we're seeing it in the muscles as we detox these programs out of our body. So the jitteriness is a hard one, because I've seen it on the clients and they are thinking that there's something wrong with them, but actually no, this is more about that you are processing much higher energy coming through your body system, and it's a time to rest, recuperate, just allow yourself to experience that like a waterfall coming through your body, and do not put yourself under any stress. It's a reminder really of how sensitive and unique your energy system is, and how to caretake and care for yourself on a much deeper level. It also brings your awareness to the idea that we are ascending as well, that we are processing much higher frequencies. This is happening very gradually, but at times when there's stargates and star portals, like on the 11-11-11, and we're going to have another one in about 2 weeks on the 12-12, that we are processing very high amounts of high frequency, fine frequency, and we're processing it through our bodies and onto the earth plane. So what we do here, we're also transferring onto the earth grid and acting as little receptors. So sometimes we don't really understand that we're doing this massive picture of energy ascension along with Gaia. We can just think, oh, there's something wrong with us. But it's it's just a point of how we frame it in our minds, and we make sure that we take care of ourselves during this process. So another thing that has been going on is feeling confused. Now, this is a tricky one. I think this links to the mind, but it's like forgetting things like words. This has been going on a while actually, and it kind of comes and goes, and I noticed it with some of the moon cycles and the things that have been going on, the astrological constellations that we've had over the last year or two. And what I find is that I can forget things like words, times, appointments, and I've noticed that other people are too, and they're looking quite stressed about this, and that the feeling of confusion is very common. So people can worry that they're losing their minds, and what I'd like to say on this is that we are detoxing from a very high level, high density of mind programming and mind control that has been present on the earth for eons really. And so because we're detoxing from that, a lot of our mind programs, they're like computer software, computer programs, they're being made obsolete, they're being erased, they're being upgraded, and often we're looking for a cohesion in our system, that it's working with in an entirety in the mind. But actually, while these things are going on, we're still trying to use our minds, and it can be very confusing. There can be a feeling of confusion. And so I think the best thing to do at this time, especially if you find that it is causing you any anxiety or worry or stress, is go back to the basics. Go back to looking after your animal self. Go back to good night's sleep if you can. Go back to good wholesome food, meditation, exercise, yoga. It's very good for this. Just helping you just bring things into alignment, and it's about nourishing the body, nourishing the animal self on a very deep level, while the mind is having these program updates and going through these ascension processes. So on that note, I would also say, because there has been so many physical symptoms going on, and I've only named a few, I will do a podcast on naming some others as well. This is a really great time to spend time in nature, to find practitioners that help you, like energy practitioners and bodywork practitioners. So to go and get your massage, to get your reflexology, to get your shiatsu, to get your acupuncture, to get your Reiki, to get some really massage, like all sorts of things. If I haven't mentioned your therapy, then I'm sorry, but you're all out there, and I realise you're all bringing such wonderful gifts to help this ascension process. And on that note, I thought it was amazing how, since 2012, we've just had a complete explosion in practitioners, people who want to practice all sorts of energy medicine and vibrational therapies, but also, the amount of people who actually go for them now. We're not scrabbling around for clients anymore. It's like people are seeing the benefit. They're recognizing that they need support and help on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level, and that these practitioners who all trained, who all with keenness, bringing their wonderful star skills into the physical realm, that they've all been here to be ready for this process. And when I look at that, I think, wow, isn't it amazing that these things come in such synchronicity? And at the time, you can't really understand why, but if you look at the overall picture and look back, it really is amazing. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I want you to look after yourselves, to remember that we are ascending, and this is a very, it's probably, these things don't happen in planetary timelines. This is probably a once in a lifetime experience. So if you want any more advice or help from me, you can connect on earthmotherstarchild.co.uk, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and I also do one-to-ones, and I'd love to hear from you. Okay, blessings, namaste.